Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. I'm a former Royal Marines commando from the United Kingdom. Today we've got an update on Israel-Palestine conflict. We've basically been working on our own map depicting the conflict between Israel and Palestine, guys. We're using a different system of what we have been, and the system we were using is just basically other interactive maps that were already out in the internet, okay? But the reason I wanted to try and change things up is, one, some of these maps don't have good, it might sound basic, good terrain detail. So when I'm limited with terrain detail, I can't really give a tactical understanding to you guys about what may be going on there, okay? And the maps that I will be using is going to be focused on satellite imagery, being able to give you guys a better understanding of what I'm actually talking about, especially when we're talking about, you know, small arms fire back and forth, individuals assaulting positions and all of that good stuff. I'll be able to show you guys probably how they're doing it and what's going on the ground specifically in that nature, guys. So let's just get into it. If you do like this new style, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below for the algorithm troops. Thank you. Let's get into it. So here we go. Now, this is a work in progress. I've got about 15 points or so that I want to go through, but there's probably about 20, 30 more that I need to do. So what I'm going to do is update this straight after this video, depending on how many people like it, and then I'm going to get into that a little bit more, troops, okay? But just for reference, what we have is the area in detail a little bit. As you can see, annotated West Bank. We've got Gaza Strip and stuff. We've got Israel, and we've got some countries in the Middle East. I will be using these from time to time just to show you the borders and stuff like that. But for now, the main points are getting into what's been going on. So let's start with the United States of America, Biden order. Now, the Pentagon has stated that Biden ordered strikes on 2 facilities in Syria used by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and groups supported by Tehran. Let's have a short listen to this.
Let's bring in General Anthony Tata, a retired U.S. Army Brigadier General and the author of Total Empire. General, I mean, I just want to get your take. The U.S. launching airstrikes into Syria, clearly in response to these Iranian proxies going after our military installations, 10 of them in Iraq, 4 of them in Syria, wounding 21 plus military members, some of those members, you know, experiencing temporary brain injuries. What do you think of what happened tonight?
Yeah, Trace, great to be with you. You know, I haven't spent a lot of time in this region. The Iranian proxies and the Shia militia groups in Iraq, those in Syria, Hezbollah, Hamas, they all want to attack and harm U.S. interests and U.S. personnel.
Yeah, we have seen that, especially over the past week or so. The question was, how would the United States respond? And they've responded in the way that I knew they would. They're not going to put up with that, okay, guys? When it comes to you know, the American sovereignty, and I look at sovereign territory as the individuals as well, okay, because the Yanks will take this very seriously, especially their troops on the ground. A direct threat to 1 or 10 or 1,000 will all be treated the same, guys. So you can see the escalations happening already within the region, but, you know, they've been pushed to respond. So that's just, you know, that's just how it goes.
They did so a week ago. The president, I think, rightfully responded in kind. The question is, what did we disrupt? What did we attack? Did we disrupt their capability to continue to attack our personnel in the region?
Well, what they did disrupt is, I believe they actually struck a weapons facility. So that area was striked. In fact, we're going to get into that straight after this one with regards to that weapons facility and where it was at, guys.
Iran is behind this. The administration's been very slow to acknowledge that Iran is behind this. I think today with Kirby's press conference and other comments made by the administration, they're coming to the realization that they can't have it both ways by appeasing Iran and helping Israel defend itself and protecting U.S. soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in the Middle East. So,
right then, troops. So with regards to that, where you at with it? Are you happy with the response? Is it proportionate? In my personal opinion, I think it is. I think it is justified, okay, and it's expected as well. It's something that I think everyone would expect. You know, the Americans aren't just going to stand back and watch this happen, guys, okay? U.S. statement say that now 19 attacks have been carried out against U.S. troops since October 17th. with 3 new attacks today/yesterday. So this is an awful lot of activity, guys. US fighter jets strike Iran-linked sites in Syria in retaliation for attacks on US troops. So I believe this is a military outpost in Syria. This photo is from 2018, but the Pentagon says the United States military launched airstrikes. That dog face there. I should have probably tried to hide that, shouldn't I? It's like we're talking all serious and that dog's got a little smile there. But yeah, they launched airstrikes October 27th. Washington, US fighter jets launched airstrikes early Friday on 2 locations in eastern Syria, linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Pentagon said it retaliated for a slew of drone missile attacks against US air bases and personnel in the region that began early last week. So that's an awful lot of attacks that's happening all of a sudden, troops, okay? And that's it. So the Secretary of Defense is confirmed that the United States forces conducted several defensive strikes on 2 facilities in eastern Syria used by Iran. Let's get into this. It has been confirmed that the US forces conducted self-defense strikes. Let's see what this says. Today, at President Biden's direction, United States military forces conducted self-defense strikes on 2 facilities in eastern Syria used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, and affiliated groups. These precision self-defense strikes are a response to a series of ongoing and mostly unsuccessful attacks against the United States personnel in Iraq and Syria by Iranian-backed militia groups that began October 17th. As a result of these attacks, 1 United States citizen contractor died from a cardiac incident while sheltering in place. 21 US personnel suffered from minor injuries, but all have since returned to duty. The president has no higher priority than the safety of United States personnel, as we've spoke about, guys, okay? They're going to take this very, very seriously. And he directed today's action to make clear that the United States will not tolerate such attacks and will defend itself, its personnel, and its interests. You bet your bottom dollar it will. The United States does not seek conflict and has no intention nor desire to engage in further hostilities, but these Iranian-backed attacks against the United States forces are unacceptable and must stop. Iran wants to hide its hand and deny its role in these attacks against our forces. We will not let them. If attacks by Iran's proxies against US forces continue, we will not hesitate to take further necessary measures to protect our people. These narrow-tailored strikes in self-defense were intended solely to protect and defend US personnel in Iraq and Syria. They are separate and distinct from the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas and do not constitute a shift in our approach to the Israel-Hamas conflict. We continue to urge all state and non-state entities not to take action that would escalate into a broader regional conflict. So what do you think about that then? They're saying it's got nothing to do with the Israel and Hamas conflict, but I mean, it kind of has, really, hasn't it? Let's look at this weapons facility then, troops. So this is the area here in Syria. Let's have a zoom in. The area that we're talking is to the west side of the Euphrates River. And I've located it to be approximately in and around this area, okay? Not fully, but approximately. Now, that's stating that it's a mosque, but it's I don't think it's there. If it is there, it's because these weapons have been housed there, but that's just where the an approximate location within this area, okay? Troops, due to the sources of information that I've read, although it isn't confirmed that it is a mosque, it's definitely located very, very closely to this area. Very close indeed. Now, US F-16 struck a weapons storage facility and an ammunition storage facility in Abu Kamal, Syria, used by IRGC and Iran-linked groups, per a senior military official. So we understand that sometimes ammo has been stored in places of worship, and sometimes these weapons storage facilities are in places of worship. And I'm not saying that this is the case, but the area in which the location of this weapon facility was struck was very, very close to a place of worship.
Now, the U.S. says it has hit 2 facilities in eastern Syria it believes were used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard in what it called self-defense strikes. Well, Bloomberg Middle East and Africa anchor Yusuf Gamaldeen Knight joins us. Yusuf, good morning. So take us through the latest.
Hey, Francine. So basically, this is the U.S. making sure that it sends a clear signal to, well, pretty much anybody who thinks that U.S. assets can be targeted without any response. And so this in self-defense to some of the events that happened in the October 17 set of developments. But the thing I want to point out is that the U.S. Defense Secretary also said that it's unacceptable and it would not go without a clear U.S. response. And the Iranian side, for their part, I mean, they also made it very clear that what they're seeing as genocide in the Gaza Strip is not going to go without.
Right, so what he's just said there, I'll pause it a second, guys. It kind of mentions the fact that, you know, they're automatically linking what they're doing with regards what's happening to Hamas and between Hamas and Israel. So it might not be linked from the United States side, but Iran certainly is linking it on their behalf, okay? And it has direct links with regards what they've been doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it, okay? Although the United States isn't wanting to use escalatory vocabulary and saying, listen, this is because of that or this. They're just quite simply saying, don't push the wrong buttons, don't attack us, don't come nowhere near us, don't be threatening towards us within areas of interest, otherwise there'll be repercussions, and they're not linking it with regards to Hamas-Israel support. So it's interesting that I personally think it is linked anywhere, even if you say it's not.
Without a response. So there's a lot of tit for tat, and I think it's important to highlight that this happened.
It's not a lot of tit for tat. There's been a lot of strikes against and a lot of proxy forces targeting United States infrastructure and personnel since the 17th anyway. What is it, like 27 or something? I think we mentioned individual incidents. So it's certainly not. It's targeted and it's happening on a daily basis, guys, okay? It's not tit for tat.
Happened along the General Assembly of the United Nations, and ultimately what you saw as well is the Iranians playing with their proxy influence, right? So specifically Hamas and others, we understand that the deputy foreign minister of Iran met with one of the senior Hamas Politburo members in Moscow just within the last few hours.
Okay, so that's what is being said there. Now, let's go straight into this. 2 people have been killed. They were shot by Israeli forces when they stormed Jenin in the West Bank. Abdullah Abu al-Hajjah, a young man, was killed by multiple gunshot wounds. The Palestinian news agency Rafah reported, citing local medical sources. Now, this bit that is confirmed. About 2 more, although I'm not too sure on the sources for the names because it just wasn't that clear. Although it's saying it has been confirmed that 2 more were killed by Israeli forces in Jenin City. That we do know. I'm not too sure on the identities. They're saying these names here, but I've done a bit of research. These are the names that keep on popping up. But it's alleged that 2 more were lately killed, confirmed killed by Israeli forces in this area. Jenin. So that's that. Air bombardment more southwards. Let's have a look at this. So violent air and artillery bombardment by Israeli aircraft on the central and northern Gaza Strip. Now, I've got my thoughts on this, on why this might be happening closer to the shoreline on the Gaza Strip. Now, the Israeli commandos have been involved in operations close to the Rafah border. It's coming from the sea, that is, okay? The equivalent of the United States Navy SEALs or Royal Marine Commandos, depending on how specialised you want to go or lack of specialised. So the commandos have been involved here. So I think, obviously, these bombardments that are happening in Gaza, yes, they're happening every single day, but they're getting closer to these areas, obviously softening up the targets, guys. But let's get into this. Missile wounds 6. This is literally just over the border into Egypt, guys. So a missile fell in Taba, wounding 6 people and damaging a building 11 hours ago. The Egyptian authorities started to conduct investigations to determine the circumstances of the missile incident or accident in Taba. Now, if we look at this area, it's like a coastal resort. It's looks very pretty, to be fair. It looks like a lovely area. It's got Chinese restaurants. It's got loads of things going on there, okay? Looks like a pretty decent place. It certainly does from a bird's eye view anyway. But there's a little bit of confusion of whether it was a drone that fell out of the sky, whether it was an accidental missile. You know, the Egyptian authorities haven't really concluded what it was yet. But according to the Egyptian army, the explosion in Taba was actually caused by an unidentified drone in Rafah. It's not yet clear exactly what happened. So although they have been investigating, the Egyptian army responded saying they're not too sure. They think it was an explosion of an unidentified drone. Now, this has no reason to be targeted. It's got no reason whatsoever, guys. It's spill off from what's happening on the side of Israel, okay? I don't think there's anything else we need to look into this. I don't think it means much, although people have been injured. I just think it's one of those rogue kind of incidents that shouldn't have happened. It's probably accidental as well. Israel bombing right next to the Rafah border. So this is right next to a mosque. It's been confirmed. Quite a few areas, places of worship within this vicinity. So just across the Rafah border, approximately 1,300 hours today, which is about an hour or two ago. Israel bombing east in Rafah. So we got a picture here for reference of that built-up area that we're looking at, guys. Okay, so this location here isn't too built up, but there's a few houses in and around this area, probably closer to this area on the Mosabi bin Omari Street. Okay. So the bombings continue, but when you think about the bombings that are continuing, it kind of makes sense once we start talking about the Rafah crossing, okay? Now, the ICRC convoy has actually passed the Rafah crossing into Gaza, so we haven't got no more hold up now, okay? And there's been a build-up of trucks that have just been waiting to get in. Now the ICRC are bringing in medical staff, including a war surgery team, alongside 6 trucks with urgent humanitarian aid. 6 trucks isn't enough, but 6 trucks is better than nothing. Medical materials, war surgery kits for 1,000 to 5,000 people, water purification for 50,000 litres of drinking water, which would go in an absolute instant, troops, okay? Let's have a look at this. I believe it's got a video showing or showcasing this. So loads of logistics, loads of supplies coming through that border. These guys are going to be getting, well, you would like to think they'd be paid quite a bit. Red crosses on there, yeah, they should mean something, but they mean something to the honourable. They don't mean anything to the dishonourable. Okay, guys, these things are still be targeted. But this convoy, now this happened about 20 plus hours ago from time of recording. About 74 of those trucks actually made it through into Gaza from the Rafah crossing with humanitarian aid within 24 hours. The White House, John Kirby, has actually confirmed that that's the case. So the supplies is over. How long it's going to be until more supplies arrive, we don't know, guys, but I'll keep you updated on that. Anyway, let's talk about what was wanting to get to last time. So Israel Commandos. So they've stormed this beachhead and they've done the business on a number of places. So it states, while Israeli mechanized forces pushed into central Gaza from the east last night, Israeli commandos from Shayetet 13, Israeli Navy SEALs, carried out a raid in southern Gaza, assaulting from the sea, which is very, very hard, troops, okay? It might look pretty, it might look cool, but no one likes getting their feet wet just before they have to, commence attacking positions. So this is hard, okay? It's not easy. Are they prepared and trained to be able to do this type of stuff? Oh, of course, absolutely. But it is hard getting dropped in via the sea. just from a security reasons. And, you're a sitting duck, really, if anyone has intelligence on the whereabouts of yous before you actually get there. So that's why they conduct these raids normally at night. We certainly did as commandos, okay? I'm guessing they'll do exactly the same. Now, they assaulted from the sea, and all Israeli commandos left target following the operation. So no Israeli troops were injured during this operation, guys. But if we zoom in, this is the approximate area. And why would they use this beach? Well, just from looking at it, the water towards the beach looks quite shallow. It doesn't look like they've got any obstacles in their way to be able to climb up. I mean, most coastlines around the world have cliffs associated with them, believe it or not, quite a lot. That's why Royal Marines train and do mountain training, all right, and vertical assault training up cliffs, because when you're doing raids via the sea, a lot of the areas have embankments, hills, or cliff faces, okay, and it's very, very hard to climb them before getting your weapon out and shaking it all about, so to speak, okay? No pun intended. But this looks like a suitable area to be able to do an operation from, straight up the beachhead, no obstacles in the way, straight up to an RV point, possibly a building, a chalet, could be anything along that beachhead, okay? Form up really quick and then move on through, assaulting the positions wherever you may be, linking up with the other teams assaulting from the east. So that Israeli commandos getting on the scene. And 2 leaders have been killed in this location here. The Israeli army says it killed a leader of the Al-Qassam Brigade in Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis, for reference, is there. Let's get these back on so you can see for reference where it is. So straight in Gaza, okay? Lots going on there, guys, with regards to that. So that concludes things, guys. Now, you're probably thinking, well, there's not a lot of information on there yet, but I've been talking for 21 minutes. Trust me, there's a lot more information to start building onto this map, and we've got information coming out of Lebanon and stuff. So what I aim to do is get that information on there and continually update it every day. It is going to take a lot of work from me, but what I've enjoyed about this process today is getting to understand the actual events that's going on over there and having to fact check them myself, and putting the information on there that I want to speak about. So it's it's less bias, if that makes sense. So that's what I've done, and I've used multiple sources. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you do want to see that type of video again, obviously it'll be a little bit more streamlined as I get used to this new map system. But let me know in the comments, troops, and thanks for all your support, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.